like those same traits, because we're far enough down the line, have been associated with conservatism and the right. One of the things that you talk about a lot, and I get some of it because kind of growing up in the American conservative movement, is your concept of bulldog nationalism, which is the nationalism of Winston Churchill, the post Nuremberg world. And we've talked quite a lot. We've been really done, I think, a decent job skewering the materialist part of the right. But what's galling is that even when the right does, and I'm using the most mainstream version of that term, right, tries to make a moral claim, tries to kind of LARP, wear the clothes of great men, they're doing it with these kind of like horrible, narrowly viewed figures. Like Reagan is that for the right in America, which again, like there's enough people have deconstructed Reagan, but it is just kind of like, even when we attempt to make what would be called like a value claim or something, we're using it, using the language of MLK and all these figures who I just hate.
I mean, I love John Wayne movies, and I had a heavy Christmas, and there was one night when I just kind of put the John Wayne box set on and watched a few John Wayne movies, and one of them was called Big Jake, where the setup was that his grandson, this was like fat John Wayne in the 60s, sort of True Grit style John Wayne, and his grandson had been kidnapped, and he was off on the trail to get him back, and he had this Indian with him, and the Indian said, "I'm not going to go along with you if they're Apache. I won't kill my own people." And John Wayne was like, "Well, look, I'm going to get my grandson back. I don't know, and I don't care what their race is." And I thought,
"Hey, Morgoth, how you doing?" I was living with a guy, and we had this stupid cat, and it would shove over the router and completely knock the internet out. So there's probably half a dozen shows where the same thing happens. The audio just clips, and it's because my roommate's stupid fucking cat just decided to take out the router. But anyway, you were just saying about this John Wayne movie where the Indian wouldn't attack Apaches. I think it was.
So just, I don't know if audience, my internet basically fell off, so I'm going to try and pick up in full flow where I got chopped off, and you'll see people like Piers Morgan will make a virtue out of it, that they will, and just basically the right. And I don't mean to sort of get bogged down to this purely kind of racial thinking, but it's just like, well, I don't care because what they're saying, firstly they do it in this kind of over the top macho way, as if say, I don't care what your identity is, buddy. I don't care where you're from. What should I care? And I think, well, you should probably care quite a bit, to be honest. You should, because what they're doing is making a virtue out of like not seeing difference. Not even entertaining for a second that maybe this outgroup have their own interests and their own interests are against yours. Maybe they have an own in-group and you're the outgroup. And it's just this sort of pathetic overcompensation, this sort of Piers Morgan with John Wayne. And I love John Wayne. I hate Piers Morgan. But just this, I don't care where you're from. Doesn't bother me. Don't try and hit me with your identity politics. And it's just one of the many things that just so. It just gets right on my nerves because it's so transparently stupid and fake.
Well, you see the same thing with masculinity and kind of masculinity influencers, that look like I exercise. It's good for you to do so, but the idea that, in order to be a